Bearcat Bounce podcast, back at it again. Ring that bell. Back at it again. Happy Monday, guys. It's a Ring That Bell Monday. It's a victory Monday. It is a 61-60-7 Monday. It is Bring the Victory Bell Home Monday. That's right. It is a win for your Cincinnati Bearcats, 27-16 over Miami, up in Oxford. Probably the last time Yager Stadium will be graced with the presence of the Bearcats. But it's also a Monday where I want to bring you guys, pals, crew, to break down this entire game and everything that has to come with it. So without further ado, my guys, the squad, hopefully we added the fourth during the timeout. But without further ado, Aaron Smith, Chad Brundle, gentlemen, how are we?
Doing good. Oh, forgot to put my headphones on. We'll do that now.
There we go. Hey,
there we go.
Bring
Some
that
volleyball. Did some volleyball this weekend, so I had the iHeart. There wasn't great reception, so I couldn't do the video. I was able to get Dan and Jim in the headphones while I was watching volleyball, and the strange looks when I'm kind of, maybe a little fist pump here and there's nothing happening, or the other team scores a point and I give it one of these.
You guys rooting for the other team? What's going on?
But no, and then I what's that? Sticker?
Is that a sticker? Yeah.
It looks like where a sticker used to be.
Yeah.
But then had a chance to watch this afternoon. Took a couple hours and dissected the tape and got ready for the show. So yesterday we built a homecoming float. That was fun. Yeah, got to do that. Got to go take Kelsey to get a mani-pedi.
Yep.
Went shoe shopping for homecoming. So yeah, I'm officially mom and dad now.
There we go.
I'm doing all the things.
You made a homecoming float.
Yeah.
Wow. Impressive.
The theme is Top Gun. They built a plane. They built a stand for the plane. They mounted the plane on top of the middle of the float, like elevated up in the air.
What?
Yeah.
So this is.
I'll take a picture Thursday.
Yeah, do it.
Thursday is the homecoming parade, so I'll take a picture Thursday. But yeah, it's been homecoming week with the daughter, so getting all that stuff locked up and ready to go.
Well, how was the volleyball dad thing? How was the trip? What, down south? Is that south from where you are, I imagine? And
yeah, we were in Elizabethtown, which is like in between Louisville and Bowling Green. So it was good. She played a lot. She started the last two matches. She played the most she's played all season. She played the best she's played all season. So they went 3-2. It was actually usually at these tournaments, there's like a couple really good teams and then like a couple really bad teams. It was an 18 tournament where everybody was like exactly the same level. The team that ended up winning it, we beat them for their only loss of the whole thing. So that makes it at least like enjoyable because the matches are all close and you don't kill anybody and then you don't get smoked by anybody where you're watching girls play with their armpit at the net, like 12, 13, 14-year-olds that are hammering the ball. You're like, Jesus.
Right.
So no, it was a good weekend. It's busy. I'm worn out. I wanted to take like a 3-hour nap today, but I knew if I did that, then I wouldn't sleep tonight, and then I would be tired tomorrow for the press conference and practice and all that stuff. So
well, hopefully this podcast won't put you to bed. You'll be able to kind of pump through, because this is the first time you've been on the BBP without talking about a game before you hop on. So I'm actually excited.
I
haven't deep dive with Chad.
Haven't had a chance to discuss to this point yet.
Yeah, like one person who has is the guy below us, Mr. Aaron. Sir, how are we?
I'm doing fine. Still working on getting my voice back. And this whatever is going on with my rib or oblique or whatever from coughing.
That's still hurting?
I've never felt so. Dude, I'm wearing like some, I don't know, some
Like a wrap?
strap. Yeah, it's
Really?
around my
He's got a
body.
flak jacket on.
It
Yeah.
feels like a flak jacket. I've never felt so old in my entire life.
Just battling through adversity down there over in Athens. Oh baby. Oh well. Well, Aaron, we're here for you. We're absolutely here for you.
Thanks.
Are you gonna be heading to the game on Saturday?
That's the plan.
That's the plan, unless another rib hurts and we have to postpone the visit. But yeah,
Just take the elevator and be fine.
you'll be just all right. You'll be just all right. But if you are going to be traveling to the game, maybe head over a day early, get your car fixed up, get your cars ready to rock, ready to roll. Head over to Danco Transmission Auto Care. Tell Danco Joe that we sent you. Chad, Aaron, Ryan, Royer, wherever you are. Tell him that the BCJ squad, the BBP sent you. Danco Joe will hook you up. $10 off oil change, 10% off next fixing. Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Big time. Well, guys, ring that bell. It's just insane how 127 meetings, it was deadlocked at 60, 60, and 7. Like, that's insane to me. But the Bearcats take the series lead now, 61-67, with a victory on Saturday afternoon. Big time game. It was a 27-16, kind of one of those where score isn't truly indicative. There could have been one or two more extra touchdowns for the Bearcats on there, but in the end, it's 11-point win. It's a new big name, big boot, big kicker, star performances all over the field. But either way, probably the last trip to Yager Stadium, maybe ever. But a win is the best way to close that chapter of the series, of the rivalry. So, Chad, you have not gotten to talk about the game yet. You said you rewatched. What would you say is your main takeaway from the win?
I think for me, the biggest thing was that we're starting to see some of that depth we talked about kind of bubble to the surface. You're playing without Mekhi Miller, Trey Gala-Collard, and Logan Wilson. Both get a bunch of run. Both do I think Logan Wilson had the one where he turned the wrong way, turned outside instead of inside on the long touchdown pass. But I thought those two guys played well. I thought Simeon Coleman and Jonathan Thompson running with that second group of linebackers, which I think, you're starting to see their snaps increase because those guys are making plays. I mean, and this isn't a knock on Golday or Dingle.
Yeah.
But the guys that are making plays are the guys that should move up the depth chart. And we haven't seen a lot from Golday and Dingle yet. And, I think Dingle, kind of getting picked on a little bit in space. Teams are isolating him on running backs and, quicker slot receivers, things like that, and kind of taking advantage of him. So you're seeing some other guys kind of step up to the task. But, you're starting to see some of, Marquez Parker, I thought had a decent game. I noticed Cam Wilson a couple times, noticed Cam Rutherford a couple times. So some of that depth that we were maybe frustrated with that was on the field a lot for Towson and a little bit at Pitt, like those guys are maybe starting to bubble up. And that was, when we talked about depth last year, it wasn't that there weren't enough guys to put together a decent starting unit. But if a guy's not playing well, there was nobody to step in and kind of like raise the bar. If somebody got hurt, there was nobody to like just, okay, we plug this guy in and he's going to go out there and make a couple plays. And, I think that is the roster building ability that we're seeing from this recruiting staff, is that you're now starting to feel like there's 15, 16 guys on defense that you can put out there and feel pretty good about. And, I think that just kind of was my overall takeaway, is that a lot of the guys that we saw that were in the mix, that were making plays, that were, repeatedly flashing on the TV screen, maybe weren't the guys that were, at the top of roster coming into camp, or even coming out of camp, but
Right.
they're being called upon and they're being able to make plays. And it's not just, oh God, we have to throw a body out there because we have to throw a body out there. And then the defense, the offense realizes that. And then they start going. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if Miami saw Trey Gallagher and thought, let's go at him.
Yeah. Right.
And make some things happen. And he said, okay, come at me, bro.
Yeah.
And he made a bunch of plays. So I think for me, that's probably the biggest takeaway, is, starting to see that depth be realized as a plus.
You mentioned also depth on the offensive side. Obviously, Tinsley goes down with an injury. Hope that he's all right. Phil Wilder hasn't played a snap yet this season, but still, it seemed like Harder came in, played pretty well for the time that he was out there, and they kind of have Buford out there on the right side still. So hopefully everyone can get healthy there. But you see the depth on the offensive line, which is a main thing that Sat has talked about every offseason. Now he wants to have 7 to 8 offensive linemen that he can rotate in throughout a game, and that's getting tested early. Obviously Miami's defense was kind of a little bit more hyped up coming to the game in comparison to their offensive side of the ball, but I thought the O-line held up pretty doggone well, especially when Harder had to come in there a little bit later in the game as well.
For sure.
Your thoughts on the 3-3-5 and obviously coming to the game. You and Dave talked about it a lot on the BCJ pod, trying to stop the run or slow down the run. Obviously they stymied Miami. I think Miami had a couple decent carries and that was it. Outside of that, it was a really great job kind of stepping up that way. The pressure is what everyone seems to be talking about a little bit, trying to get pressure on the quarterback. But I mean, you see Eric Phillips had 2 sacks in the game. That's his career high in sacks in a game, and he's already past what he had last season. He only had 2 sacks last year, already has 3 on the year, second in the Big 12 in sacks. So thoughts on 3-3-5, thoughts on how it did seem like the pressure kind of amped up as the game wore on. In the beginning, it seemed like there were some moments where it seemed like Gabbert had some time to kind of pick and choose to break down the defense. But I feel like that's kind of the main talking point right now is 3-3-5 and slowing down the run and also defending the pass.
I mean, I don't have anything really new to say about it. We've talked about it a ton. It's not the number of bodies you have on the defensive line. It's the number of bodies you commit to the box.
Right.
And I thought they did a better job filling gaps. I thought, there weren't these wide open running lanes that anybody could run through. I thought they were a little bit more aggressive to the ball than we saw in the first couple weeks. So, I think fans look at that because it's easy, right? It's instead of being able to really break down, like, there's a million different versions of the 3-3-5.
Right.
So unless you're a coach or a football diehard, saying something like 3-3-5, 3-3-5, I don't like odd man fronts. Like, that becomes people hated the 3-3-5 when Freeman was here and complained about it constantly. And they were a top 5, top 10 defense in the country every year.
Yep.
So I think it's just a talking point that people latch to when you're not getting the job done. And, they haven't been good against the run at the end of last year. They weren't great against the run the first 2 games to start the season. And guess what? In this league, they're probably not going to be great against the run in most of their conference games because the league is so good running the ball. Now, you don't want to get gashed for 175, 200 yards, but teams are going to run. Like, they are going to, and they're going to have some success. But what it looks like when you're filling your gaps and guys aren't out of position and getting sucked in and leaving wide open spaces for guys to pick and choose from, then you look a lot better against the run. So, I thought they looked better in their assignments.
Yeah.
Even in the 3-3-5, You can stop the run. You can pressure the quarterback.
Believe it or not. Yeah.
But you have to do your job.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Royer, how are we, sir? Welcome in. You kind of just piggyback off what Chad was saying. What you see differently this Saturday?
Well, I think one thing Miami tried to do, especially in the first half, I almost think they wanted to replace the running attack with kind of like it's similar in the way that Pitt tried to isolate us by spreading us out and running in and off the tackle, but they wanted to spread it out and just isolate the Jake Golday in the screen game and say, hey, we're just going to block the first threat coming down from the secondary, and we're going to make you run as fast as you can, and we're just going to play like a little 3-man game on the outside. I think they kind of replaced a lot of their run plays with that. And I think they had some success with it, but I did like how, I agreed with what Chad said, kind of stepping up better in the run game in the box. I thought we did a lot better job. Granted, I don't think Miami is as good of an O-line and running back combination as we saw versus Pitt. I think that had a little bit to do with it as well. And kind of with the 3-3-5, one thing that this team I think has done such a great job of, it's like 80% of the game they've ran the defense exactly like they want to do it. Bend, don't break, settle for field goals, or just don't let up the big play. Don't let up the big play. And then like they're letting teams stay in the game because they're just giving up 2 or 3 in the other case, or Pitt 3 just like screw ups in the back end. Whereas the whole game they're staying in front. I think, and we're not running the pressurized version of the 3-3-5 that Fickle and Freeman used to run, because, we had the personnel on the back end to kind of just send guys and go one-on-one and have more havoc, more chaos on the defensive side. And that's okay with this team, because we do such a good job for like 80% of the time. And then, you look at the scoreboard, you feel like we should be up by like 21 points, but then next thing you know, quick touchdown or big chunk. And Miami's kind of in the game when felt like the whole game we were just kind of taking care of business. So I think that's something they need to clean up. But granted, we knew that going into the year. Secondary was going to be a place of concern. I think the guys are collectively playing a lot better. I know we mentioned Jordan Young a lot. I think he's been a big help kind of isolating that number one over on his side of the field. But I think there's still some work that needs to be done at the safety position. There's been some critical errors there that have kept, that let Pitt win the game on those 4 last drives of the fourth quarter. And then I think there was, 15, McDonald was kind of having his way with our number 13 back there. So I think we got the right coaches. I think we got the right guys to get it fixed. And I think the scheme is doing its job so far. Mm-hmm. Just got to eliminate the big plays. That's so big. Like big plays in college football, we chart those. It's like 90% of the time a team that gets or gives up X amount, like they're going to win. And that's regardless of turnovers, regardless even of like people who say blocking a punt almost guarantees you to win. But even this guarantees you more of a win now with the chunk plays given up or taking them on your side of the offense. But
some of it, Ryan, is correctable. Like there was one with I think Mekhi Miller where the slot guy, they're running these like slot posts. Uh-huh. And it feels like the safeties are anticipating them to keep going up the seam. And they're running right across the face mask. And Miller was slow, like a little flat-footed, and that gave the guy an edge. And then Logan Wilson actually turned to run up the seam.
Yeah, he slipped.
And the guy cut right behind him. And now you got to loop around. You're never going to get.
Yeah. Oh, no, never.
All the way back over.
Yeah.
Unless the bad throw.
Pray for the underthrow. And, what I've also noticed a lot is a lot of these plays are coming like there's some sort of communication going on and things look a little bit like it's frantic communication. Then next thing you know, the ball snap and these guys just don't seem to be in the right. I don't know if they're having problems with communicating or might be like that rotation. You have different guys playing with different guys. Guys might not be into the game as much because they've been on the bench. But I have noticed that in all 3 games, at least one of the big plays the safeties are letting up, there's some sort of like frantic, almost like not looking like on the same page, and then boom, something bad happens.
I wonder how much of that is adjusting to having 3 of them out there.
Oh yeah, and
you're
playing 5 of them too.
You would think normally, like safety, it's like you and another guy, and you guys are communicating who's up, who's back, like who's got what segment, like what zone. Are you cover 3? Are you cover 2? Like, I wonder how much of that is that process of learning the communication where you don't have like one guy that's been doing it for a long time in the system, because there's so few people using this version of the 3-3-5. Guys have never played with a third safety. So now if you're trying to communicate, if you're the field and you're trying to communicate with the boundary, I'm guessing you have to go through the star in the middle, and you're like relaying. And I wonder if that's where the miscommunication maybe is coming from, is that you don't just like watching like Derek and Wig, like the way that they kind of were able to play off of each other. Because I mean, you can like, they didn't even switch, right, Ryan? Like they would play both spots. Like one would play field, one would play boundary. The field position was opposite. Like they both were just a safety. There wasn't and they're flipping sides or whatever. Like I got this side, you got that side, and we'll figure it out.
And that's why they're playing on Sundays too. You know, they're special.
And Cook was like that too. Cook could play free or short.
Yeah, they had a lot of games under their belt. Crazy athletic, great football players, great leaders, great communicators. I'm not saying our guys don't have the potential for that, but you know that takes time, that takes experience, that takes experience, reps on the field, but also getting reps at something you're comfortable doing. You can't rep, no matter how long spring ball is, no matter how long fall camp is, you can't replace in-game snaps, the stresses, the speed. You can't ever replicate it in practice. So these guys, they got to learn how to run a whole new defense with all new players. You know, there's going to be some mistakes, but we got to try to eliminate. Can't let the mistakes turn into like huge touchdowns or drive killers or game-changing plays. So I think that's something that we've kind of been struggling with the first 3 weeks. You know, we obviously won the first game, but I think there were a lot of plays in the secondary where guys are just getting beat deep, and it kept Pitt in it, and it let Pitt win. I think it really kept Miami in this game where it kind of felt like we had total control of the game at all time. And next thing you know, they're like, holy shit, they have the ball. They can score and tie this thing up out of nowhere. But you also compound that with 2 and, you know, Joe Royer's fumble at the half-yard line, and then the insane freaking lineman downfield call on Gerhardt.
Horrible.
Yeah, it's like, what the hell are you looking for? But good thing we freaking won. But and one thing I guess I'd like to see better is the linebackers drops, because it almost is like, it's like a lot of the times they're both one's a spy, but the other guy's just kind of like hovering. He's not providing any value in the drop, but he's not really there to spy, and neither of them are pressuring. So I like either you pressure one and you spy one, or you pressure both, or you drop both. You can't have like both of them doing this little hover back thing where they're just kind of like slowly like levitating backwards. That doesn't do any good for the spy on the quarterback, for the rush game, or for the pass game, because you're really in no man's land. Because I'd like to see them, like, if you're gonna drop, get moving quick. Get your eye back, see first threat, then get your eye back to the quarterback and break on where he's looking to open up on. That's all we would work on, especially like the Mike linebacker, which is what Bartlett has been playing. Like, you need to just get your head turned around, find first in, find your first guy you can jump on, get back to the quarterback and make a play, get in a lane somewhere. But at the same time, like, I think what he did a really good job of was when he was kind of sitting up on the line and faking a rush, gaining attention, and then he's having an effective spy where he's actually kind of not doing some bullshit little drop thing, and he's ready to actually run down because he has that athleticism that I think can be a game changer. It's like a delayed blitz almost. But yeah, I think him and Dingle both, or whoever's in it at the linebackers on the interior, they like to rotate them sometimes, like have meaningful drops. Because if we want to play bend don't break, we want to play safe. Let's at least one of you go back there and help out your DBs, get in a lane, make the quarterback think about you for a second, and the other guy then get involved somehow. Grab the O-line.
Well, because when Bartlett goes, he goes. Like he kind of has just that like shot out of a cannon thing that Ivan Pace had, back in the day. So
do that in his backdrop too, like that. If he can get out of his drop and just get down the middle seam or break out to like try to undercut like a number 2 running an out route, like I'm not saying he's going to make the play all the time, but like you never know. It'd be a bad throw, miscommunication. He can just be there. The quarterback might look away, and it's time for Dante to get in there and get a sack. I mean, it's just I think the linebackers as a whole can do a better job at their drops. But I don't know what they're being coached. They could be being told to do that. Then I necessarily don't agree with that technique, but I think they could be utilized better than they're being utilized and how their drop techniques are going.
Yeah, I think continuity is something that's big too. I mean, Minkin's obviously out in this game, so you're trying to replace a starter with all these different pieces in the backfield. Chad mentioned Trey Collard, who went out there and had like a great game, and I'm sure Miami probably had no idea that Trey Collard was even going to play as much as he did. I mean, you're seeing Sanks out there playing a bunch. So probably that continuity and able to kind of just flow together and make things work. Probably by, hopefully this Saturday you start to see a little bit more comfortability, in the back end. But let's talk about, you mentioned big plays, and I don't think there's, we're going to touch on the offense, but I don't think we can go much further than saying this was probably the best special teams game of the season so far. It's not saying much, it's only week 3, but big time plays. First off, Nathan Hawks, unbelievable 55-yarder, then a 50-yarder. I think his long at Wittenberg was like 40 yards, and he only had kicked 4 field goals in the Division III level. I mean, Chad, was Hawks? Did you see much from him during not only this year but last year in camp and whatnot?
Last year he was recovering from he tore his quad off his hip flexor. So yeah, like he was recovering. But he was like he had always had the kind of label as like the long guy, a huge leg. He's been handling kickoffs. Like he's got a big leg. But he wasn't as accurate as Carter Brown. And that, like, everybody in my mentions is like, why, typical Satterfield didn't know. Like, no, Carter Brown was really solid. And in fact, one of the bright spots of the team last year.
Yeah. With
his consistency and his ability, he gets off to a little rough start. I think the credit goes to Satterfield and staff and Carey for saying, you know what, we're going to try something different. We're gonna see if this kid who has the gigantic leg can be kind of an answer for us. And I mean, he was right down the middle. Like you didn't see that bad boy hook. You didn't see it fade. Like that thing was straight as an arrow.
Both of them too.
Yeah.
Just smoked.
I mean, middle of the net from 50 and 53 or 54 or whatever it was.
55.
55. Like I said, I listened on the radio. I didn't get to see it. But yeah, I mean, that's what he has been known for, is having that big, powerful leg. You just had a guy that was the incumbent that had been very good the year before. He's a little shaky to start the year this year, so they tried out the other guy. That's a ballsy move. Think if he misses those 2 kicks.
Yeah.
First Bearcat to ever make 2 field goals over 50 in the same game.
Yeah. Well, and how about throwing him out the first time? Here we go. First time rivalry game on the road. Here's a 55-yard field goal.
55 yards, yeah. Scoreless first quarter. Just hit a bomb, kid.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
love him
when I,
saying his left leg was shaking a little bit.
yeah, yeah, he had a little twitch in there, but yeah, I mean, you had another great story, and he was not, afraid of the moment at all, and he mentioned in the post game presser that after he saw the first one go in, the second one he just it was no issue, but I mean the second one had a lot more pressure on it coming in the second half where they kind of needed some points
Yeah.
to extend the lead, but I mean, talk about a weapon, man. If you have someone that, I mean, obviously Sat and staff trusted him to send him out there for that 55-yard attempt. I don't think that you do that with a new kicker unless you have full faith that, hey, he's going to go out there and he's going to nail it. So, I mean, how about that little dime in the rough? Because yeah, last year Carter Brown was MVP of some games, and obviously in a 3-9 season, if you're saying your MVP is your kicker, then you're not, you're obviously not producing as much points as you want to. But I mean, Carter had some good games, and Hawks went out there and showed it. And then also, of course, the kind of the botched, snap on the punt that yet again, Cuevo Sabor, just a true freshman out there making plays. Between Sabor, between Monte Whedon, between
really like
Simeon
that kid.
Coleman,
I
Daquan
really like
Sanks.
Quavo.
Yeah. I mean, Chad, the whole entire offseason, it was kind of just the story of these true freshmen kind of flashing. And it's showing right in front of our eyes on Saturdays now.
I mean, I love Simeon Coleman because the kid is just around the ball. Anytime he's on the field, he is around the ball. And that's how you get on the field and stay on the field is they put you on the field and you get out there and you're consistently in position to make a play. And he's done that. Sanks, I noticed a couple times, got beat in coverage. I didn't think he had a great game, but I thought he was okay. Like I didn't, he didn't jump off the page as like Jaquan was an MVP of the game type level player, but he was in position far more often than not. I think Whedon is going to be really good. Parker flashed quite a bit. You saw him.
Yep.
In on the action multiple times. I think 6 true freshmen had tackles.
Yeah.
On the game.
Yeah.
So, these guys, that was the thing that really stood out in the spring is a lot of times in the spring, and Ryan can attest to this, the freshmen are just trying to fit in, right? They're trying not to screw up. And these guys got here and were like, no, I came here to make plays. Like, I didn't come here not to screw up. I came here to be aggressive and, and look to get in the action. And that's how they move their way up the depth chart. I've seen a lot of people say that, like, that's just because there's nobody ahead of them or what. No, those guys have earned their spot on the field.
Yeah.
This is not a matter of they're out there just to be out there because they're trying to get them experience. Like, these guys have played well in practice and played well through spring camp and fall camp. It's not really fall camp because it happens in the summer. That always drives me crazy. But that's why you get a high level scouting department.
Yeah.
Is so that you can find guys that you think athletically, physically fit your profile, and that, you get to know them. You make sure they're about the right stuff and that they do come in expecting to make an impact and then going out on the field and doing what's necessary to make an impact. So, I've been impressed with, and there's still some of them we haven't seen yet that I think are going to be good players.
Yeah.
I think Angel James and
Gravy,
the other corner, Gravy, and then there's another
Willie Goodwin. Yeah.
Willie Goodwin. Yeah. I think there's still some of these guys in the wings that we're going to see. I don't know how much we're going to see them this year, but like going forward, there's a group of these freshmen, especially defensively, that I think are going to be able to make an impact. You've got 2 linebackers, you got a couple safeties, you got a couple corners, you got 2 or 3 defensive linemen. Like, all of a sudden you're looking around and going, okay, this could be the foundation. We have seen this before. We saw it in 06 or 07 with D'Antonio when he started the youngest defense in America. And then you saw it when Fickle took over and all those guys started, moving up the depth chart rather quickly. And that put in place a great run of defense for this program. I think you're seeing signs of that. I'm not saying this is going to be as good as the 08 defense, or it's going to be as good as, the 21 defense. But what I'm saying is they're building that foundation of young guys that can, as they grow and develop and continue to get playing time, can make a difference long term.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see kind of, I think Keegan was mentioning he's going to ask about tomorrow, kind of just the red shirt scenarios. But it seems like a handful of these true freshmen have carved out a role to the point where they will not be redshirted. They're going to be playing that role for the rest of the season. So that's pretty amazing to have that happen, especially when you bring in so many players out of the portal and you have all these additions that kind of were high level additions. So, I mean, they're carving out roles and they're playing at a high. Simeon Coleman coming through on that one blown up screen pass that he just demolished the running back.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just Sabor we mentioned with that heads up play, but he made numerous tackles, and Simeon Coleman always has a big hit during kickoff as well. Same with Monte Whedon, always a nose for the ball. It's just it's pretty insane seeing all these players.
Whedon and Sabor are going to be interesting because I don't know that they're going to get a whole lot of time at their position groups.
Right.
When it comes to a red shirt, but they are becoming critical special teams guys. And look, that's how Derek Forrest got started. That's how Kobe got started. That's how Alec Pierce got started.
And
Alec
Pierce, best player on the Colts these days.
The best player on the Colts, Alec Pierce, absolutely. But that's how guys are supposed to move up. That's how this is supposed to happen. You come in as a freshman, you work your butt off, you make a couple special teams, you get out there and make plays. The coaches start to trust you a little bit more, and then next thing you know, you're an integral part of a system. So
exactly. Let's flip to offense. I mean, defense, obviously, Eric Phillips, hat tip to Eric Phillips, man. He had 3 sacks on the season. He had 2 in this game, including the one where he pushed the tight end all the way back, bull rushed him all the way into the quarterback, and kind of tackled both at the same time. He's kind of proving to be that pass rushing defensive end that the team desperately needs. As he's second in the conference in sacks. He's obviously already surpassed his total from last season. So a really good Eric Phillips game. Hopefully he can continue to roll that for conference play. But let's flip to offense. Aaron, let's get you in here, buddy. Mr. Brendan Sorsby. He was 21 of 34, 186 yards and a touchdown. So Dave tweeted on the BCJ account today that Sorsby is one of 29 quarterbacks to not have an interception yet this season, but only 3 quarterbacks have thrown for more yards and also thrown for more attempts. That's Josh Hoover at TCU, Hank Backmeyer of Wake Forest, and J.C. French of Georgia Southern. So Sorsby probably could have had a lot higher stats if it weren't for that crazy ineligible lineman downfield call, and then of course also the fumble through the end zone. But your thoughts on QB1's day on Saturday?
I think the thing that impressed me the most was the fact that he was not afraid to stay in the pocket longer than I would have. Longer than
a couple shots, boy.
I'm saying he just knew he was going to get hit, and he just sat back there. That, and he is very much a pass first, run as a very last resort or a called play. Whereas he's always looking downfield. He's extending the play, scrambling out of the pocket, and still looking downfield, making passes to the sticks, and making sure that he's extending the drive, not just picking up 2 or 3 yards, which we got really used to seeing last year.
Yeah, and getting tackled right away after those 2 or 3 yards.
Correct.
Well, speaking of last year, obviously it doesn't seem like Sorsby puts himself in too much harm. Obviously the one throw against Pitt where he kind of just lobbed it up in the end zone, and Pitt got the pick, but he came down out of bounds. But 6 touchdowns, 0 interceptions at this point through 3 games last year. Emory Jones had 7 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. So, and obviously just taking care of the football against pretty much the 3 same opponents that this team faced both last year and this year. obviously Sorsby could have had, an additional 80 yards, then you're looking at 260 and 2 touchdowns. Or if Royer gets the ball across the line, but before it goes out of bounds, you're looking at, 270 with 3 touchdowns. And, we're talking about how he's one of the highest stat-wise best quarterbacks in the country type scenario. But I think he does a really good job not putting himself in harm's way and kind of just winning the football game. I think this Saturday was obviously, the main storyline was Corey Kiner not getting the ball in the fourth quarter against Pitt. We saw that completely change this week as Corey Kiner got the ball numerous times in the fourth quarter. Thoughts on Corey Kiner, Royer? He seems to have just a different thing about him this year. It seems like he's amped up everything that he needs to. I mean, 21 carries, 126 yards, and a touchdown. He's just truly become that bell cow running back. And I mean, he's back-to-back games with 20 plus carries, back-to-back games over the century mark. He's a beast, simply put.
Yeah, he's legit, man. It just feels like every time we're handing him the ball, it's almost like the offensive line, like at least one of them can mess up, or collectively they could not get enough push. It's like it doesn't matter. He could get initially contacted at the line of scrimmage, and it's like still 4 yards. But if he gets clean through, it's like 5 to 8 yards every time. It's just automatic, and it's exactly like I thought if he would have did just as well as he did last year, this year, like it would have been a big help. But he's taken it, like you said, to a next level. I mean, he looks like one of the better backs I've seen come through Cincinnati. I'm talking like, Mike Warren, he was a bell cow. Or Mike had that same ability where it's just like Mike always found a way to kind of get extra yards and just not go down, or just find a way to keep to slip through a tackle and then turn that into another 10, 15, 20 yards. Corey is he's going to be a huge difference maker for this team, man. Got to keep him healthy. And I think we need to get him the ball 20, 25 times a game. Let's not obviously want him to get through this season, but he is like such a big part of our offense. I think he's going to wind up being one of the better players in this conference. I think he's only going to get better too, just to be honest with you. That's kind of how it is as a running back.
Here's one thing he does really remind me of Mike. It's like guys aren't getting direct hits on him. Like, even if you've got somebody running free, he finds a way to like minimize the impact. Like, you just don't see him get like squared up. Like it was evident on that one spin move where it looked like they had him dead to rights, and he just zip and out the back door he went.
Is when he ran over the Sparanek or whatever his name is, the old Mac line. Like that was the only time he ever got squared up, and he ran his shit over, man. That was some grown man shit right there. I loved it. It's some old school running back.
Gosh,
like I don't think they're super similar, him and Mike, but they have some qualities that mirror each other. I think
just like it's just like they're still going, or like they saw that. Like I can't believe they found a way through that. And then next, remember the run Mike had versus UCF where he like back the two guys into each other. Like that's something like. It's kind of like that. It's just that savviness that just is like neither one of them are going to be like Jerome and just beat out SEC corners in a sprint to the goal line. But I just think they both have they have that knack for just like breaking tackles and like creative ways and just always finding a way to get positive yards and keep the offense kind of on schedule.
Yeah, I think Kiner definitely has a little bit more burst than Mike, but no doubt that first guy is not bringing either Kiner or Mike down. It's just always seems like ever. It just always seems like he breaks that first tackle, and then that one run that he had, his longest gain of the day, he broke probably 5-6 tackles in one play.
He doesn't have a negative. He doesn't have a negative rush yet.
Yeah,
and that was my favorite Mike Warren stat that one season. He didn't have a single carry all year that ended behind the line of scrimmage. Like that's just
stupid.
And
so difficult.
Yeah, and there are plays where he gets hit behind the line of scrimmage, and he still ends up, 1 yard. Like, and and that's essentially a 4 or 5 yard gain because you should have been tackled 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and instead you found a way to get it to the line or a little bit over the line. Like that is a 5 yard run when it comes to the next down, second down, third down, whatever.
And I think that it's no, it's not new news. Kind of saying that this team has new news that this team has struggled to finish games, close games out. But Mike Warren was the ultimate closer. It's like having a point guard that's really good at free throws.
Mariano Rivera
ice the game, or Mariano Rivera if you want to go the closer route. But I think that they're going to finally see, okay, that's what Corey is. He's going to pick up the first down. That's why it's going to be hitting our head against the wall about that, into that pick game for a while, but still.
Or even, that last drive where it could have been a 54, 55 yard field goal, but on third down, he picks up 4 on a play that he should have probably been stopped at the line of scrimmage.
Exactly.
And now it's a 50 yard field goal. And, it would have been good from a little bit farther back, but just that ability to stay in front of the sticks, to stay ahead of schedule.
Mm-hmm. I was pretty blown away that the most carries that he had in a single game during his Bearcat career was only 23. I always felt like he had more carries last season, but I guess it's kind of just a conglomerate type thing where, obviously being the main running back. So I think they have it pretty cut and dry where they're going to be in between that, 19 to 24 range. They aren't going to push him too much, but I tell you what, if it's fourth quarter, just give it to him and let him pick up those yards. But it does seem like the answer for the Lightning to Kiner's Thunder has been chosen. Evan Pryor had only 3 carries, but he turned it into 76 yards and a touchdown, including that 65-yard burst. How about the blocking on that play, guys?
Aaron Turner and Xavier Henderson, outstanding. That play doesn't happen if those two guys don't block their ass off. Aaron Turner up at the beginning of the play and then X at the 20, 25 yard line, just manhandled his guy.
Wasn't even in the picture during the run until the end. Yeah. Unreal. Aaron, what were you saying, bud?
I was saying it was roughly that 20, 25 yard line.
Unbelievable. Royer, how about that downfield blocking, man? Got the juices flowing for young Brent.
Which play?
The big run for Pryor that he.
Oh, dude, I freaking love that. That play is so good. That freaking turnaround center pole stretch. Mm-hmm. That play is sick. We ran it twice. It's perfect. I'm not saying it's going to be like a home run hitter like that every time, but it's literally whole line goes right, makes the linebackers all go that way. Plus Sorsby is freaking opening up that way. Then the pivot back to the handoff, just giving Pryor at least 3 extra steps. Just say, hey, Gavin, seal off the first threat coming your way and let Evan just pick up 5-6 yards out running dudes. I don't know who drew that up on that O staff, but that play is sick. I love that. It's unique. I've never seen that before. First time I've seen that. A center pulling opposite stretch.
And almost like a counter. It's like a stretch counter with the center pull and everybody else going the other way.
I loved it. It was beautiful.
Gavin did a great job getting out there too, because like you said, he literally just set up shop and had a perfect seal on the set and on the edge. Yeah. So and then
big run for Evan too.
Oh yeah.
Outran everybody. Showed some great.
Had a huge moment where you needed points.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
to Miami's defense credit, everything had been a grind. Like they had to really grind out drives. Like they weren't getting chunk plays. They had to be patient. They had, 6 here, 8 there, 7 here, 10 there. They weren't getting a lot of splash plays, especially not Aaron splash plays. They, none of the 25, 30 yard variety.
Well, I think they said they're literally like, we'll give you guys that. Like, we're not going to let Henderson beat us deep. And I think we did a good job picking up on that. Like, let's take the easy play. And I really think if you look at it, you don't get that shit. There's 14 points on the board. What was the score? 27-16?
27-16.
Yeah, we should have had 41 points. No doubt. I mean, Joe, I think he knows now. Like, you just hold on. You keep two hands on the ball. Don't stretch it out. Give your running back 4 chances to run it in from the 1 yard line. Everyone, I know it was a sick effort. It would have been a sick touchdown. But I think, you just got to learn from that, and I think he will. I mean, the play he made though to even get the ball that close was unbelievable.
Unreal.
Just showed his dynamic skill even more. But
league him.
You say he's going to learn, but he kind of did the same thing on the one that was called back, where he just kept fighting through anybody trying to tackle him. He's not going to go down. I don't think he's going to learn anything.
I don't care about that. Do all that shit. Keep the ball high and tight right here, and then just you don't have to extend, because you only extend at the goal line if it's 4th down and you need to score a touchdown. You never extend, or if the game's going to end. And it's
especially because I think they had timeouts too. So
yeah, they had timeouts. They had plenty of time.
And you pick up a first down, stops the clock under 2 minutes. So
I don't think he was reaching as much as he was falling,
and I don't think he could see the other. You can't see the guy.
Yeah, it was a really good play by the Miami defender.
It was.
Got to give props to him too. So
that's all defenses are taught now is just go punch the ball, punch. You just see it everywhere. NFL, college, high school. I mean, because shit like we're all sitting there like, oh my god, like he's no way he's gonna score, like, and then literally like the last second, like half of a football length away, that friggin' punch just comes flying in.
Which, by the way, do you guys agree with that penalty for having to go through the back of the end zone?
I don't. And people say, like, well, the defense caused the fumble. They shouldn't be. Well, if you fumble at the 40-yard line and it goes out of bounds, the defense doesn't get the ball.
Right.
Like, if somebody comes up and, you're carrying it and they punch it out and it goes out of bounds, you just get the ball there. I think the offense should keep the ball from the point of the fumble.
Okay.
The defense has something to recover.
It has to have something to do with, like, football play reaching for the goal line. Like, it has to do something with, like, not being able to, like, fumble the ball into the end zone. Because, like, if you fumble the ball into the end zone, like there's probably some tricky little situations teams could kind of scheme up into, like, getting the ball across the goal line. Yeah, it's something like that to deter teams from doing some bullshit down there, I'm pretty sure.
I kind of like what someone said, just, maybe put it back on the 20-yard line and have the offense still have the ball. But I mean,
that's reasonable. Yeah, I agree. It does suck. It's like a literal, like, all right, instead of us having the ball like on the 1 inch line.
Now it's their ball. Like, they didn't recover that fumble. They don't get the damn ball.
I know.
Right. It is what it is. Yeah. But it was a phenomenal effort by Royer. I mean, you could he has just NFL potential oozing from him, man. And it's pretty special to see him really just blowing up here at UC. Obviously, the one big play that got called back as well, with the ineligible man downfield. First off, another ticky-tack rule that it is what it is type scenario, but it takes away a game where he probably would have had over 100 yards and a couple of touchdowns. Instead, it's just 3 catches for 27 yards and a touchdown. It's a strange stat profile when he actually had an awesome game, I thought. Probably his best game as a Bearcat so far, but shades of the Josh Wiley at UCF game where he had a big game, but it could have been even bigger if it weren't for some lights going off in the bounce house. So is what it is. But Joe Royer leads the Big 12 in tight ends and receptions and yards. So he's showing out. He's really,
and it feels like he should have a whole lot more.
Way more.
Not just yesterday, but like,
yeah.
I mean, but he's a monster. And then Xavier Henderson has been outstanding.
I was going to bring him up next. Go ahead, Chad.
He's been outstanding.
Blanket.
I mean, he is so good at understanding what the defense is giving him and just taking it.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't take his route stem too high, too low. He's got a great understanding of when to break it off, not only just to make the catch, but so many of those guys take their route so deep that as soon as they catch it, the defender is all over them. If you notice, when he's making those catches, he's got still 2 or 3 yards worth of space to spin back inside or get outside. It doesn't always work, but he's giving himself an opportunity to make a rather mundane play into a 12, 15, 20 yarder because of his understanding of route running and where to catch the pass and where to set up the quarterback. Him and Sorsby are really, really in sync already, which is a huge plus.
10 catches, over 100 yards. I mean, there's a very good chance you're looking at 1,000-yard rusher, 1,000-yard receiver. It's crazy to think about how obviously you're talking Sorsby, Kiner, Royer, and Xavier Henderson, all transfers out of the portal. That this staff, and then of course Kiner came in, with previous staff, but they hit on all of the top of the order in each of those position rooms. I think they hit big time. So the fact that they're able to kind of just turn this up, and then that lightning, that home run hitter that they lacked last year, of course, he's showing off big time. But this is the second game that Xavier Henderson has had double-digit receptions in his career with the Bearcats and his career total. The other one was right. Yeah, the other one was last year against Miami, 12 catches, 140 yards. But yeah, he's showing that he can be kind of just like Aaron said, kind of a security blanket. But I also think Joe Royer's a security blanket. I think this really just the connection between Sorsby and Xavier Henderson is something that's special to watch. He's second in the Big 12 in receptions, 7th in yards. So he's priming up to have a very special season. I think has a chance to be an NFL player as well. So when you've got Royer, Kiner, and Xavier Henderson, all potential NFL players, that it's a good start on that offensive end. Anything else as far as offense, defense, special teams, guys?
Yeah. I think Mace would probably like to have a couple of those 2 touchbacks back.
Yeah.
I mean, the first one, like, they backed it up with the delay of game, and you really thought, okay, he's going to pin him inside the 5 here. And I think he just got a little too much leg on it. That's the problem when you can easily kick at 50 is sometimes you're trying to take a little bit off of it. And that was a 50-yard kick that hit at the goal line, like, perfectly.
Yep.
So I think he'd probably like to have had those back. But other than that, special teams was as good as it's been since this regime took over. Hell, since Brian Mason left.
There we go. Even further back. I agree. Yeah, Royer, your any final remarks on bringing the bell back? You saw it was at Martino's, right? And they're getting it in the club is what Eric Phillips said when take the bell back to the club. and then of course, shouts to Sherry Murray. Did you guys watch that video?
That was one of the greatest things
I
I've ever
screamed out laughing when Mitch popped on the screen.
Every single part of the video is just perfect.
Oh yeah, it was great. Great work.
The Sherry special, as they call it. So ring that bell, man. Ring that damn bell. 61, 60, and 7. Unreal.
I do want to give Jordan Young some credit. I think he has been rock solid at that number 1 corner spot. Like, yeah, they're getting some big plays, but they're not coming like they were coming last year. They're not coming particularly easy. I do think there was 2 of them that they had well defended, and the guy from Miami just made the play. Like,
Agreed.
sometimes the guy just goes up and makes the play.
Yeah.
But I do think Jordan deserves some credit because that was a spot where teams were picking on them last year.
Mhm.
And he has played well enough that teams are not like picking on, we're going to put our number 1 receiver on this guy out here on the boundary, and we're going to like go. And the other thing I think that needs to be mentioned, so much better on third down this year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that has been game changing for the defense so far. Last year, it just felt like if it got to third down, the other team knew, like, we've got a play that they're not going to be able to stop. And it didn't matter what down and distance. We talked about that in the preseason. Pitt turned, but I think they only ended up with 4 third down conversions the whole game. And then Miami struggled on third down as well. So just do a little bit more cleaning up on, the occasional third down big play. But the secondary really has taken a pretty significant jump from a year ago, and that is evidenced on being able to get off the field because they were bad at it last year.
Yeah, 5 of 13 for Miami third down conversion. So yeah, that's pretty damn good. Keep it under 50%. You're
What's
doing
that, right at
swimming.
40?
Yeah,
right at 40, 30.
Aaron's the mathematician of the group. What's 513?
5 divided by 13.
5 of 13. What's the percentage?
38.46.
Thank you,
38.
math man. Look, we call Aaron the calculator. You're always on time, baby. Big time. Thank you.
My estimation was correct.
Yes. right there at that number. But yeah, it's in the end, it's a win. 27-16. Take the wins any way you can. It did seem like the team kind of had not really like a monkey on their back type scenario, but like you could sense the excitement that they had after the win. And it's a different vibe than last year. We've talked about it all off season and so far through this season, you can just you've got that feeling. Sat was hyped up. That obviously he wore those crazy glasses last year at Pitt. That this time he's wearing the big hat. He just makes me laugh, But they were
big
definitely
play, big hat.
Yeah, exactly. They were definitely getting hyped in the and if you can go watch the video on Twitter or on YouTube, you see where they kind of just recap everything with highlights and stuff. It's awesome. And by the way, Chad, you got to see hear a couple really good Dan calls. He dominated his touchdowns and the extra point. I mean, the field goal makes, so it's a big win. But yeah, Houston up next. Big 12 football's here. The Cougars come to town. An interesting team. Chad, I know you and Dave will dive into that a little bit more, but I don't know. We'll see. They Willie Fritz finally got the first win of his tenure, taking down Rice this past weekend. But I don't know. They're interesting.
Their offense
Cougar.
is not
good. They aren't, but it's like what? Yeah, they had a punt return for a touchdown against Rice, and so
their defense and special teams are allowing them to look maybe a little bit better than what their offensive performance has been. They've got a not great quarterback, so it's going to be imperative that the Cincinnati defense plays well again.
Okay, I love it. Well, should we timestamp this and then riff real fast? I love riffing with Roy.
Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. They service over 150 restaurants with weekly low minimum next day deliveries. They provide a wide range of food service products from to-go containers, cups, custom printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call Nick 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
Boom, baby. Get the riff out. Get the new riff out, Royer. Let's see you take a little poll. We'll do a poll for the boys back in the day. Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah.
Money.
I'm getting there.
What was your longest pull back in the day, Royer? 12 seconds? Were you just don't put it down till it's
I don't
gone?
know if I ever tried to do something like that, to be honest.
Yeah,
We used to do this thing called the Super Six, where we'd take 6 shots of tequila, we'd pour 3 of them in a cup, and then 3 of them in another cup, and you had to finish the 2 cups in 15 minutes.
Okay.
So you take the one, and then you wait 15 minutes and take the second one.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had
a cool little thing, man.
One of my roommates, it was his birthday, and we had a big party and a bunch of people were over, and we took like a Great Kharkov bottle and we filled it up with water, and only the roommates knew that it was water in there. And so like right at midnight we're like singing happy birthday, 50 cents on, go shorty, it's your birthday, and he just starts pulling it, and he's like going and people are like cheering him on at first, and then people are like, stop, dude, stop. Don't
thought he was gonna end up in the hospital, huh?
But it was water. It was a great prank, except for the ladies were not loving the prank. But hey,
you know what you don't put water in? New Riff. Fiercely independent and unabashedly innovative, New Riff produces award-winning bourbon, rye whiskey, and gin at their distillery in Newport, Kentucky. The Aquafire Tasting Room, located on the 3rd floor of the distillery, features cocktails, flights, and pours of New Riff's entire line of spirits, including rare, limited edition, and distillery exclusive releases. Bearcat Journal listeners can save 50% on distillery tours when you use the code Bearcats24. For more information or to book a tour, visit newriffdistilling.com. Did you like that transition?
Oh, I loved it, man. That was a segue to rule off segues. Golly. Royer,
you ready?
Let's riff.
After this season, where do you think Corey Kiner ends up on the list of all-time Bearcat running backs?
Wow.
So, in recent memory, I know there's some guys that were really good, like back in the day, DeMarco McCluskey and a couple of guys. I think Jerome and Isaiah Peed are the 2 best that I've seen in my time, in my 17 plus years doing this, with Warren probably right below them.
Yeah. Mike was just a different back, like Pete and Ford just had that NFL traits.
Yeah. Mike was, give me the ball, I'm going to run people over until they're so tired that they can't tackle me anymore.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Mike was a guy, like, if he had 30 carries, you were like, we probably didn't give it to Mike enough.
Yeah.
Like Mike could take 35. Like, backs can't take that anymore. Mike could take 30, 35 carries because, like I said, he was so good at not taking direct hits that he could carry the ball, more than most guys. He was more durable than most guys. I think Corey probably lands in that Mike Warren range. Pete and Ford were just so dynamic. That they just had something that is so rare. Yeah. But I would say probably right below those top 2 guys, right in that Mike Warren. I think Jared Dokes was really, really good. Unfortunately, there were a bunch of injuries, so we never really got the full Jared Dokes experience. Mike Boone was really good. Tion Green was really good. I'd probably have Corey a level above those 3 guys.
George Wynn,
but that was 1 season for George.
Yeah,
not that 1 season wasn't great, but his was just like a 1 year. He waited his turn and then had a great senior campaign. So Pede and Jerome, Mike and Corey, and then like that other group of guys, and those guys all, Mike Boone is still bouncing around the NFL.
Carolina, yeah.
If you can be good at special teams, you can hang around in the NFL for a long time.
Yep. Aaron, where you got him?
I think that top 5 range. I think that unfortunately, the losses are going to be something that's held against him when you look back at what happened, which is just unfortunate timing, really. But I think it'll probably be.
I don't know how many losses are coming this year. They end up. We don't know. Aaron,
Okay,
Run the table.
sure.
I mean, he's on pace for what? I think he's averaging 136. No, 108. No, I got it pulled up. Go ahead, Aaron.
Regardless, you still got the losses from last season, so it's still going to be held against him. But I think that he's dynamic this year. I think that's the way that I would describe him, and I think that I think we're all going to be really happy with the product he puts out there this season compared to last season.
That one Jerome Ford game against UCF at home is just like forever engraved in my brain as like, oh my gosh, we got a different freak out there at running back. But yeah, I think
you got his name wrong. That's Alabama transfer Jerome Ford.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. Sorry, ESPN. I'll send you a letter of apology. Yeah,
I still say that for the Browns. Alabama transfer
right.
Jerome Ford.
So he did finish at Cincinnati, but he did start his career at Alabama. Jerome Ford. Yeah, I agree. No, it's so dumb. I agree. I think Ford and Pede, but I think you can make a case if Corey kind of just goes off, has like a couple games where he somehow gets over that 200-yard mark. He'll have to bust some big ones. Because I think Ford obviously was the last time we saw someone go over 200 yards in a game. So you could see him right on line with Pede. I do think that single season with Ford kind of just separates himself as like it's a different dude. So I'd say Ford, then Pede, and maybe Kiner if he can just really blow up the rest of the year.
I think you're underestimating Mike Warren. There was a whole season where Dez wasn't. He was a freshman that wasn't up to like Dez yet, and that defense was not a top 10 defense, and they won double-digit games because Mike Warren was just a monster.
I kind of imagine if he would have came back for a senior season. Shoo.
That would have been a lot of fun.
It would have been a blast. Yeah, I think Warren never hit that 200-yard mark. 166 was his career high. I think we could see Kiner top that this year. But yeah, he's a beast. All right, go ahead, Royer.
What do you think will be more valuable to our offense? Henderson or Royer to have the better year?
I'll let you guys go. I always go first.
Go ahead, Aaron.
I think that it's going to be more important that Henderson has the bigger season, strictly based on not that Aaron Turner and Tyron Smith and Tony Johnson and Sterling Burkhalter aren't making plays, but it's very different in the way that they make plays compared to the way Xavier Henderson has been making plays. I think that the drop off from Xavier Henderson to the rest of the receivers is probably a bit more important than the drop off from Joe Royer to the next tight end, at least in this offense.
Yeah, I agree. I think Henderson, if he becomes a legit star, I mean, I think Royer's already in a class of his own when it comes to tight ends. I think he's going to just continue to be like really damn good. But if Xavier Henderson can become like a legit like star, I think that would make the offense just go off. I mean, he was a top 60 recruit coming out of high school. Obviously, had some really splashy games at Florida. But if he can kind of just fill that role of 7 to 10 receptions each game, over 100 yards each game, sprinkling some touchdowns, I mean, you're talking about a bona fide star at the wide receiver position. And I think that's very rare to have. I think he could be that.
I think what's going to be really interesting is how teams decide to defend him. Because if I mean, we saw this some last year too, but they just couldn't, when they switched how they defended him, they couldn't take advantage and beat them over the top. They are, at some point, teams are going to stop giving him that free release. You have to think, don't you, Ryan?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
they're not
Miami
all
just
year,
gave him
just
10 yards every catch.
every play.
time.
Like, and Pitt did that too. Like, after early, when they went over the top a couple times, Pitt backed off. I don't know that they were ever fully in like press man, but it's Narduzzi. Like the DBs were up near the line of scrimmage, and then they got beat over the top a couple times, and they backed off, and then they took what Pitt was giving them with Henderson there quite a bit. I think that's going to be fascinating because if you're going to bring your corner up, you're going to have to play your safety with that in mind to Henderson's side of the field. So that's I think the way defenses defend him are going to dictate like how open Royer can be in a lot of ways. And then I think right now we're not seeing a ton of Tyron Smith and Aaron Turner, but I think there's more to be shown from them as this offense continues to cook. I think Sorsby missed Tyron Smith on a corner route middle of the game, maybe second quarter. That would have been, a 20 plus yard play that just didn't throw him a good ball. But some of that stuff where, the teams are not going to let Xavier Henderson catch 10 balls a game with 7 of them being for 100 yards, with 7 of them being just the result of, okay, our corners are 8-10 yards off of him, and he's just going to take it over and over again. I just can't see defenses allowing that to happen. So then you're going to have to bring your corners up. You're going to have to play them tighter. And that, in theory, should open things up more across the field. So I think Henderson in that light, although, I mean, Pitt did a lot to try to, like, over-under Royer, where he never really got a chance to roam free. And both of them are so critical, but I Henderson by a slight margin.
Yeah. Agreed. Well, Royer?
Are you ready for the third good one?
Yes, let's do it.
In celebration of the victory bell, where would you take Scott Satterfield out to dinner to celebrate?
Where did he say he was going that one time? Red Robin, or was it Ruby Tuesday? One of the two.
I don't remember.
There's still
where the hell is there a Ruby? I was gonna say, where the hell is there a Ruby Tuesday?
I don't know. Wherever there's a Fuddruckers, probably.
I'd take him to Fuddruckers. Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
Fuddruckers is delicious.
I'd take him to Martino's and have him ring that bell. Then we'd head over to Dive Bar, get a little couple. Well, I don't know if he throws it back.
Old fashions.
Yeah, a couple oldie boys, and then we'll finish up with some Cane's chicken, and then we'll go to
the Clifton tour. Got to take him to Adriatico's if you're gonna take.
Yeah, well then we'll go to the Mio's, man. Come on.
There you go. Jesus.
No
You're
free
such
ad,
a weird,
dude.
such a weird date, Brent.
Take them to Mio's, then maybe down to the Holy Grail for a drink, and then if he lives on the west side, take him to Remington Tavern or maybe Hail Mary's.
I'd take him to a bourbon tour at New Riff.
Ooh,
take him to every sponsor of our show. There we go.
Full circle, baby.
You finally figured out what we were doing there.
And during every Uber ride, we're just pounding Turtle Brew.
New Riff.
Just
Turtle
pounding.
Brew, yeah. And just Wicked Hair.
And exactly. And New Riff. Yeah.
And the next morning, you can get the IV with the Live
from Live Healthy Hydrate.
Yeah. And if you need like some trash bags to clean up messes, we'll hit up Quick Paper Supply.
And then when you wreck your car, you can go to Danco Joe's.
Yep,
There it
exactly.
is. Are you missing any?
Full damn circle right there. Oh well, no, and then you get so excited that you're like, Seth, I love this. Let's book a golf tour over in
They're
Scotland.
not. Yeah, they're
They're
back.
back.
They're back in. So yeah.
Yeah, do all that. Very good.
Businessman first, Royer. Businessman first.
Roy, where are you taking them? The precinct?
Shit, man. I don't know. I didn't think.
I know this is
Borough.
probably
That's still a thing?
considered sacrilege in this city. Third and Main's right up there with the precinct.
Where's
Third
that
and
at?
Main's outstanding. It's right over in Aurora, Indiana, like right by Lawrenceburg, right by the
Legit?
casino. It's legit, very legit. And they also have a butcher shop, like right there where you can buy their steaks and bring them home and cook them yourself.
Okay. Man.
Third and Main was outstanding. I love it.
All right. Now.
I'll go Third and Main.
Okay. Fair. Well, hey, is that it, Roy?
That's it.
You did a great job, man. Gosh, I love that segment.
Favorite segment
by far. All right.
Is Wilder coming back this season? That's the plan. When? Well, hopefully soon. But that's the plan. It was not, to my knowledge, it was not a season-ending injury, and they are working diligently to get him back to 100% so that they can get him back on the field.
Boom. Boom, boom, boom.
Oh.
Riffing with Royer, brought to you by New Riff, brings us to another timestamp. Brought to you by Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. They service over 150 restaurants with weekly, low minimum next-day deliveries. They provide mostly disposable restaurant supplies, to-go containers, cups, pizza boxes, to-go bags, can liners, napkins. They've been open since 2009 and are one of the largest minority-owned companies in the city. Call Nick, 513-470-2029, and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
Boom, baby. Now, before we hop in the mailbag, just some quick recruiting notes. Cal Skinner did decommit from the football. Obviously, it's been tea leaves on that one for a while. Chad, anything on Skinner's decommitment?
Not really. I mean, we'll see where he ends up if anyone even cares. But SEC country, SEC comes calling, including the home state school. It's going to make it tough. I think, we'll see kind of how that one ends up. But you're not going to be able to match the money. Like, even if you wanted to get into a bidding war, there's not much you can do. Like, they're going to be able to outbid you. And then you're in a position where if you're going to win that bidding war, does that cost you another player? Maybe two, because you had to go so much higher over what you wanted to get to at that point. We've talked about it a bunch in basketball, but it's no different in football. You're going to have a value that you place on these guys. And if the price goes above where you have them valued, you've got tough decisions to make, because if you go over slot, like talking the MLB draft or, the rookie wage or whatever, if you go over, then that has ramifications. That means you might not be able to go get a starting level safety for next year. You might have to, it costs you two guys in the middle of your recruiting class to give this guy at the top of your recruiting class their money. So it's still hard to properly put all this in perspective the way it plays out. But the best thing I can say is you have to accept, you have to look at it as this is a business, and business decisions have to be made. Yeah. And sometimes those decisions include bowing out and saying, all right, if that's your thing, more power to you. we saw it in basketball last night.
Yeah.
So,
I always thought it was funny with him. A local news station had, they interviewed him and talked about him committing to Cincinnati. And then at the end, of course, he wanted to sprinkle in the fact that his recruitment is still open. So it's just like, okay, cool.
They give it away when they do that. Like, I'm committed, but if my phone is still working if you want to give me a call.
Exactly. Basketball wise, Keyshawn Tillery had his official visit this past weekend. Anything on that front, Chad?
Pretty quiet so far. I think he's back up at New Hampton now. I know there was a report that they thought a decision was coming in the next couple days. That has been a surprise to everyone that I have called on his recruitment. I don't think anybody, and that's not to say he couldn't decide to wrap it up quick. Right. But I don't think anybody is expecting anything imminent on any of the sides. And maybe Wake Forest. I don't know. That was our Wake Forest guy that said he thought something could be coming soon. And that could also be, he was talking about canceling visits and getting into the decision-making process. My understanding is they still fully intend to go to Ohio State this weekend. I think the dad has some family in Ohio that they were that Ohio State visit was going to be a chance to be around them. So I don't know. I mean, that one could get canceled. I don't know. The last I checked, they still intended to make that visit. Or maybe that wasn't it. Maybe that was Hannah. It all kind of runs. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that was Hannah that had some family that they might visit during the Ohio State trip.
Right.
But I mean, things sound Wake Forest, Cincinnati, Virginia. I know Virginia really impressed him on his visit there. So hopefully as we get through this week, a little bit more starts to come to light. I posted a little bit of what I'm hearing on Davion Hannah on the board last night. So go check that out. I think they probably would like to figure out where things are at on Tillery before they make a push on a Jalen Reese to get that one across the finish line. And then Sean Abev is kind of a wild card. I mean, there's not a lot of info out there on that one at all. That one's been the toughest one so far to really unearth anything. Yeah. Okay. But I know the people I talked to that watched him this summer loved him. Like, thought he could be, of the guys on the wing that they're recruiting, he could have the most upside. So King Grace, they didn't want to go as high as that thing went.
Really?
And, several hundreds of thousands of dollars, like way up there. And I think part of also what kind of impacted that one was timeline.
Okay.
Because they want to see where things play out with Hannah. They want to see where things play out with Abev. Yeah. And if you take King Grace, you're probably taking yourself out of those two recruitments.
Right.
So, a little bit multi-layered, but the NIL thing was kind of we're not going
final.
to that point.
Welcome to recruiting in the year 2024, man.
I mean, you have to take all of that into consideration when you're making these decisions. And I think the visit was good, but I think when they sat down and finally talk numbers and this is what we have on the table, it was kind of like, well, we're not. Yeah, that's not where we have it. Our math is a little different than your math, and if you can go get that somewhere, more power to you. No hard feelings, but that's not where we're at on this bad boy.
Boom. All right. Well, we'll see what happens. Obviously, go to the board and check everything out on BCJ. You can have that wall-to-wall coverage nonstop. Well, Aaron, let's go ahead and mailbag it up, man.
Let's after the technical difficulties you and I had trying to set the mailbag up today.
Yeah. Interesting, to say the least.
Dad came along and took care of things as usual.
Thank you, Dad. Thanks, Dad. Yeah, shoot.
All right, starting on the football portion of the mailbag. With the non-con schedule completed, how confident are you in the O-line success entering Big 12 play? Specifically, what have the past 3 games told you about how this group will perform the rest of the year in pass protection, run blocking between the 20s, and run blocking in short yardage situations where the offense, defense, and everyone watching the game knows a run is coming?
They've been fine. I don't, I think Pitt got some pressure because they were bringing 6 and 7 guys. Like, it's real hard for 5 guys to block 7 guys. So,
I think what we learned about the offensive line, probably more than anything, is the fact that we are ever closer to that 7 or 8 guy rotation that Coach Satterfield's been talking about since he got here, because we've been down several guys at this point, and it's plug and play, and no one's missing a beat. You're not noticing Jonathan Harder's in the game because it's seamless.
Yeah.
I thought
looked
Pitt
good.
picked on Buford a little bit. And that was part of their game plan, which they were putting extra pressure right over top of him and trying to like overload him, and they had a little bit of success with that. But I thought they've been fine. I haven't really like noted that the offensive line is getting blown off the ball. They've held their own. They're giving good push for the running backs. They're giving good lanes. Sorsby has had time to throw by and large. He hasn't looked like he's running for his life every time he takes a snap, like we saw at times last year. There have been pressures, but the sack numbers aren't astronomical, and I don't really think he's been flushed out of the pocket. But I think what helps with that also is he'll get the ball out quicker than Emory would. He's not afraid to just take 3 steps, rock on that back foot, and get it to Henderson on a free release, or get it to Royer, or whatever the case may be. So I feel pretty good about the O-line in pretty much every facet so far. Will it be nice to get Wilder back? Yeah. Will it be nice? Hopefully, DT's not out too long. And if he is, Harder steps up and continues to play well. But, as of right now, I like what we've seen through 3 games.
Yeah. I think they look good. Definitely.
Ryan?
All right.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute my thing. My mouse wasn't working. No, I agree with you. I think they're going to get stronger as the year goes on, but the competition is going to get a little better. Some weeks a lot better, some weeks not. But I think having Kiner and I think having Sorsby being able to be the dynamic threat that he's kind of showing, like being able to move around in the pocket and still keep his eyes downfield, I think it's going to help kind of level the playing field. And I'm expecting these guys to still like make a push for the same type of numbers they had last year and be one of the better rush offensive line units in the conference. But I think they're going to be a lot better in the pass protection than they were last year. I think they've kind of shown that already.
After 3 games, do you take the over-under on 6 wins this season?
I had 7. That included a Pitt win. That puts me at 6.
Man. That
push.
damn Pitt game,
Push.
man. That's going to be a damn freaking.
Yeah.
Oh, they're 2-1. They have 9 games left, so they'd have to win 5 out of 9. So they'd
to
have
get
to
to
go
7.
Yeah, they'd have to go 5-4.
Well, technically, if they are they saying regular season? No, I mean that'd be counting the bowl game too if they get to 6. So 6 and a win in the bowl game. So
Here's your next 4.
So I know the line opened up at 6.5 against Houston. I don't know what it got, if it got bet down or what.
To 5.
Yeah,
It's down to 5.
How's Tech looking?
So they looked pretty rough the first 2 games, and then
Right.
they were on at halftime. They looked like they were going to score 130 points on Saturday.
They hung
Who are they
66
playing?
points.
Nobody.
Holy moly. Hey, you guys are the lines at
didn't-
now.
They could win those
They didn't-
4 games. They
They
can.
didn't play well against. They didn't play well against Washington State at all.
At all. Yeah. Is it down to
The
4?
line 3.5. What? Sheesh. Wow.
You got to earn Vegas's confidence. They haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I don't know
Yeah,
what Houston has done to earn Vegas's confidence, but
Just that, I guess, decent
they
showing
played
against
Oklahoma
Oklahoma.
close. And Oklahoma,
Right.
Oklahoma, I don't think has a good quarterback. Their wide receivers are banged up. Like,
Yeah, I
this
think they'll
is
be
not a
pretty
vintage
exposed on
Oklahoma
Saturday.
team.
Yeah. They play Tennessee this Saturday, I think. It's going to be
Yeah.
exposure time. So I'll
don't
take the
know.
over still.
5 and
I'll say
4.
Yeah.
I'm with you, Brent. I'll take the over.
All right, give me a 7-win season.
I think they're gonna find 1 or 2 that they weren't supposed to win.
I just think they hit so well on those top line talents that, I mean, Sorsby might have a couple moments where we're like, oh, he is an underclassman still, but I think it's just like, gosh, he's just kinder, experienced offensive line. I mean, then the defense as they get to play more and more together. I don't know. Obviously, that's the optimist in me too. So we'll see.
What players or position group has been better than advertised / expected?
Jordan Young.
Jordan Young's been better than advertised. I think
Corey Kiner has been better
Yeah.
than I expected.
Yeah.
I think the O-line's passing pocket, overall pass
protection.
protection.
I mean, those are areas that we were worried about.
The thing with Kiner is you like get excited when they turn and hand the ball off to him. It's like it's an awesome feeling to have. I would say honestly, Joe Royer. Hyped him up all fall camp, but I think he's been better than I even anticipated. I think he
would have held on to that damn ball, man.
Oh, gosh.
That would have been one of the better plays.
Center top 10 play right there.
Can you think of a better play a tight end has made in the last 10 years?
Travis Kelce Belk Bowl.
Yeah, I mean it would have been up there in the Bell game. Breaks 3 tackles, stretches out for a touchdown.
Josh had some awesome plays, but I think
I don't think he ever did that though. That was pretty.
No.
He had that one UCF game where the
lights.
Oh
went
yeah,
out.
yeah. When
He had a
did
couple-
the dance move in the end zone.
Yeah, he did
That
the
was a great play.
Gesicki.
Don't ask me to impersonate that.
Yeah, okay, don't do it then.
I'd say the receivers have been better than advertised expected in general. We kind of knew what we had in Xavier Henderson, but I think everybody else has been Sterling Burkhalter, Jamoy Mays, like all of those guys have really stepped it up and impressed.
Sterling's important, Brett, because that like getting X a little bit of a breather while not having that position go away. You know what I mean? Like they're able to put Sterling in there, and he's made some plays while you're able to get X off the field and give him a chance.
And he's shown me some things for future seasons too. I think
that's going to be a huge question going into next year. Is X is such a big part of this offense,
right?
Who is going to step into that role? And Sterling has definitely at least like started to make his case.
Yeah. Agreed.
Also, Gunner's been better than expected. They have, especially against Miami, the kick coverage was amazing.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Big Gunner podcast.
I had to squeeze it in there.
That's what she said. Mason or Max?
Max is better. Mason is outstanding. Mason is one of the best punters in the country. Max has a better leg.
Give me 1 more year of Mason so I can have, 3 years of Max?
2.
Yeah.
2. Okay. Oh no. Regardless, I don't want to burn Max in a year that we have Mason. It doesn't make sense.
Right. No. But in practice, there have been some kicks from Max that just don't make sense. Like the physics of the kick don't make sense. As high and as far as they go. It's like you get to pick one, right? You get to kick them really high, like 42 yards, 43 yards, or you get to kick them really far on a line drive. You don't get to boom them to like the top of the press box and have them come down and bring rain with them at 57 yards. Like, he is a freak.
All right. So what do you say to Carter Brown that has not already been said?
Keep working. Like, there could be.
Never know what could happen.
Right. Like, you didn't do anything like drastic to lose your spot, but the opportunity might arise again. Nathan Hawks had a great debut. That does not guarantee he's going to be great the rest of the way. So you got to stay ready.
Yeah. Sometimes you only get one shot or one opportunity.
You're
Mom spaghetti.
Seize it or let it slip.
Mom spaghetti.
Just saying.
He's a weak
nervous,
buddy.
Vomit on my sweater already.
Coach Scott Satterfield or Coach Sanders?
Satterfield.
I'd say Coach Sanders would be the better defensive back. Actually, although now probably not.
Coach Satterfield would be the better quarterback.
Yeah, I think so too.
And Deion's missing a couple toes now, isn't he?
That's what I was thinking.
2 or 3.
I would say Coach Sanders would probably be the better baseball player. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. Although I think Sat did say he used to play a little baseball back in the day.
So jokes aside, here's the thing. I think when Deion leaves Colorado, that thing is going to implode. Like, they're already not in a great spot, even though they have 2 elite college football talents.
Right.
That thing is built on a house of cards right now. They're not good at the line of scrimmage. They're sloppy. I think they spend a lot of time focusing on the wrong things instead of winning games. I think when he packs his Louis Vuitton and heads off into the sunset, I think Colorado is going to be right back at the bottom of Division I football.
Yeah.
At least power conference football.
It's going to be pretty wild to see what like Florida State does, because
I was thinking the exact same thing.
Norvell is.
But there's a rift between Deion and the power people at Florida.
I don't think they'd go that way, but I think it's
I
interesting that the first time around he didn't get didn't get more of a look. Obviously when Norvell got the job, but what?
Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, the maybe. I mean, if Jerry Jones is still the one making the decisions.
Dallas Cowboys.
You can't be a head coach in the NFL and have no fucking clue what you're doing.
I think he'd be better managing adults better as a coach of adults than he would college kids.
Until he tried to bring Shedeur in and you had this Dak Prescott contract to worry about.
Yeah. He'd probably get Travis Hunter somehow, some way. He's a stud.
Oh, he's the best player in college football.
It's unbelievable.
It's very rare that the number 1 player in a class ends up becoming the best player in the sport. It rarely ever happens. He's, I think, the best player in college football.
Was Chase Young number 1?
Snaps a game. I think he was.
Was Joey Bosa?
Jadeveon Clowney is one that I always think about.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's go back to 2020. Bryce Young was number 1. DJ Ukulele was number 2.
Yuck.
Quinn Ewers was number 1 in 21.
He's pretty good.
Was Justin Fields ever number 1?
Let's take a look. That'd be what?
Travis
18.
Hunter was number 1 in 2022.
No, Fields was 2. Trevor Lawrence was 1.
Yeah. Trevor Lawrence was the best player.
Yeah.
Antonio Alfano in 2019. I don't even know who that is. Went to Alabama. Derek Stingley was number 2. So, I mean, I guess it happens a little more than Walker Little, number 1 in 2017.
It's my class, bro.
Rashawn Gary, number 1 in 2016.
I would say Jeremiah Smith is proven to be the best freshman so far. Yeah.
Myles Garrett, number 1 in 2014. He turned out all right.
He's not bad.
Yeah.
Leonard Fournette, number 2 in 2014. Myles Garrett and Leonard Fournette, 1-2 in 2014.
Wow.
Gosh, time flies, man.
I remember watching Leonard Fournette's tapes in high school.
A decade ago. But Travis Hunter's outstanding.
Yeah.
All right. Question: does the decision of whether to receive or kick from the coin toss change, knowing if an opposing player is suspended for a half?
I don't think so. I feel like most teams want to just defer if it's the smart move.
Yeah.
Conservative call.
I think generally a coach has what he wants to do, irregardless of, some coaches want to be aggressive. Chuck Martin took the opening kick, I think, Saturday, didn't he? Yeah. They won and took the ball.
They don't show the coin
Don't
toss
remember.
anymore.
I know it. I know it happened Kansas City game. Bengals, Kansas City. Chiefs won the toss and took the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So some coaches.
Miami wins the toss and will receive. Yep. And remember, that's when they drove all the way down and
got picked.
The Canteen interception. Yeah.
So I don't think it has anything to do with anything on the other team. I think it is strictly we're going to do what we're going to do.
All right. What, in your opinion, are the 3 biggest lessons the team learned in the first quarter of the season?
Corey Kiner should run the ball more.
Give Corey the ball.
Fourth quarter, Corey.
Yeah.
Lean on Sorsby.
Lean on Corey. I think I definitely don't think this defense is good by any stretch of the imagination at this point. But I am starting to see some potential where they're not bad.
Right.
If they continue to grow, if they continue to progress, continue to develop, I think they can get maybe a little closer to average.
Chad, I think there's like 5 or 6 plays that this defense would be from like okay to solid. Not good, not great, but solid, and they'd be 3-0.
I think they were really good for 2.5, almost 3 full quarters against Pitt. They were pretty damn good against Miami, I thought.
Yeah.
Now, Miami's strength is their defense. Their offense is not very good, and I don't know how much you can take from that. But
then, like Royer said, it was just 3 big pass plays that they had.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much it.
That was almost the extent of their yardage throughout the entire game.
Right.
So I think that the defense, if they continue to progress in Vite's system, has a chance to be enough to keep them in games. I think this is going to be an offensive-led team over the final 9 games. The defense just has to keep them, in the ballpark.
Yeah. I think they also learned that
throw anything else out there?
Special teams can be special.
They can win you games. It certainly was a major factor in winning that game. Like, without question. Sabor making that play and setting them up for the touchdown. Like you said, Aaron, the coverage on punt and kick was solid. The 2 50-plus yard field goals, Mason Fletcher kicking 50-yard punts with regularity. Like, it can win you games.
All right. Who has had the best career, college and professional, of players who decommitted from the football program? Limit to the past 15 years.
I have no idea. I'm out of. I don't pay it. If they decommit, they're generally like I just don't ever circle back.
Let's just say Joe Burrow and move on.
He didn't ever announce to the world that he committed.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he told the coaching staff he was coming.
Right.
He didn't make
Happy
it.
for him that he did.
Yeah. That, with as bad as that wide receiver room was, that was a good move by Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
He instead got to play with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson for 2 years. That looks like fun.
Would have turned Trent Coleman into a NFL player? No, Trent Cloud.
Trent Cloud, yeah. I don't know, Brent. You follow that. You pay attention to that stuff more than me. I have enough on my plate. Once they decommit, I generally just don't I don't even barely remember their names. Once they decommit. Right.
I mean, would you?
There's a DB that went to Clemson that had a pretty good career at Clemson.
Yeah, who was that tight end from a couple of years ago that went to Bama?
The one that went to LSU.
He first committed to LSU and then he decommitted and went to Bama.
He did that weird video
with Brian Kelly
with BK on that circle thing.
Pre-Ozempic BK.
That I don't keep up with it, Merc.
Yeah. I don't know.
All right. And we got two more. Is 2024 the last year of eligibility for kicker Nathan Hawks?
I think so. I'm not sure. I don't know when he got hurt with his quad injury to determine if he would have like a medical redshirt year. He played in 7 games last year as the kickoff guy. So last year would not be a redshirt year. I think this is it, but I can't say that with 100% certainty.
All right.
He's listed as a redshirt senior. That's what I know.
Are we out of COVID years at this point?
I don't think he was a COVID guy. I think he started in 21.
All right. And the last question in the football portion of the mailbag: why isn't Barry Jackson getting any playing time?
Because Tyron Smith and Aaron Turner are ahead of him on the depth chart.
Still a redshirt freshman. Redshirt freshman.
It is difficult to get to number 3 on the depth chart at any position.
Mm-hmm.
Barring injury.
Barring injury.
All right. That ends the football portion of the mailbag. Moving on to the basketball portion of the mailbag. When does practice start? Got to be getting close as it's already the middle of September. Any chance we can hear from Wes before practice begins?
I believe it starts next week. It's the last week of September. I don't know what exact day. Before practice begins, probably not. I would say odds are good we'll hear from him on one of these shows before the season starts. But before practice starts, we don't have a whole lot of time between now and practice starting. So I believe it is next week at some point in time.
Okay. Speaking of the basketball team, good to see Dan Skilling's front and center at the Miami game.
He was there to see his girlfriend.
Regardless.
I don't know.
Still fun.
But
all right. How have the backup 5s been looking? Do you think Mitchell will be asked to play any small ball 5?
I really don't think so. I mean, in a pinch, maybe. But I think you'll probably see Aziz and Arrington Page with Tyler McKinley as a third. Maybe you see a small ball lineup here and there with Mitchell, but I do not think it is something, at least at this point, that I expect to see a bunch of as of today. That could change once practice starts and you get into exhibitions and super secret scrimmages and things of that nature.
I think it would just be because Page wasn't quite ready, but from all accounts, it sounds like he's had a really great offseason. So
I don't
feel
know if
like-
I'd go really great, but he's had a good offseason.
compared to the time he had at USC.
Compared to Mono, Orange and Page.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Hearing anything on 2027 Justin Wise out of Georgia?
No. 2027. He is a sophomore in high school. It is a lot of work right now to even keep up with 2025, much less 2026. I haven't even begun to think about 2027. So I'm sorry on that one, but it's a guy they've offered. They obviously like his talent in terms of his recruiting process. He is so far from a decision that other than knowing he's a name to like keep an eye on going forward, I don't know really anything about that recruitment at this point. I only have so many hours of the day, unfortunately.
Sounds like excuses. That ends the basketball portion of the mailbag. We'll finish it up with the Banks one question. What cheesy / bad show will you still watch from the 60s, 70s, and 80s?
There's one that's a lot more prominent now than it's been since it aired. Alf.
Is it?
Yeah. He ate cats.
Who's well,
I think
Oh God.
Oh, Ryan has no clue what Alf is. Do you?
Is he from Springfield?
No, he was from Melmac. He was from Melmac.
outer space.
Yeah.
Oh.
Alf. ALF, alien life form. He was a little like 4 foot tall furry creature that liked to eat cats. And the family that rescued him when his spaceship landed had to keep him from eating the neighbor's cats all the time.
So that's your pick. There we go.
I'm going Alf. I loved Alf when I was a kid. Alf was fucking hilarious, by the way. I will my favorite show from the 80s that I would watch still if I had time to watch TV would probably be Night Court. I loved Night Court. I think there's a like a remix of Night Court that's on now.
Probably
I think
on streaming on like Peacock or Apple Plus or something.
Yeah, I think the judge is like his actual daughter in real life, Harry Stone. It's his actual like daughter, and then Dan Felding is still on it. But yeah, Bull was great. Night Court was just hilarious, and then Cheers was probably the best show of the 80s.
What was
show?
Was Fresh Prince of Bel-Air 80s?
I think that started in the 90s.
I think that was 90s.
I love that show. Full House, maybe.
Also,
Full House would count as cheesy, but I don't know if that started in the 80s or 90s.
Family Matters.
I love Family Matters.
What about?
I think you're going strictly 90s though. Yeah, Full House started in September 87.
Wow.
So I think that would count.
Oh wow, Family Matters was 98 for the first show. Jeez. Oh, that's final episode. 89
Yeah.
first episode.
Oh wow. So I guess you can count it. It does qualify as a show.
What about
from the 80s.
Saved by the Bell?
Oh. I know. I got the easy answer. Greatest American Hero. You remember that one, Aaron?
No.
Believe it or not, I'm walking on air.
I remember the song.
Never thought I could be so
So
Yeah.
gosh, you're a great singer, Chad.
I know.
Not as good as you.
Believe it or not, it's
Right
just
there.
me. Probably
Mix
gonna
of
get monetized
Fergie and
for that.
Jesus.
It was so close to the original version. We're probably going to get monetized for that, Aaron.
That's
I don't.
true.
Yeah, that's it. I don't think I watched
Knight Rider.
I don't think I watch anything at this point from the 60s, 70s, or 80s. Like
I don't
nothing.
watch TV. I watch like sports. It's pretty much, and I barely
What's
have
the
time
name
to
of
watch
that one show with the guys that said, "Did I do that?"
That's Family
That's
Matters.
Family Matters. That's Steve
No,
Urkel.
wait. No, what's the other guy? What you talking about, Willis? That one.
Oh, yeah.
I used to like that show
Different
too.
Strokes.
Yeah, that's a good show.
Did I do that?
That's an entirely different show, though.
Yeah, that's not the same show.
Yeah, I like them
Gary
all.
Coleman, Steve Urkel, same difference.
Yeah,
All right. That's the mailbag. Get us out of here, Brent.
Ring that damn bell. Come
The
on.
A-Team.
Sure.
Dun, 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 dun.
Matt.
Baywatch?
Dun, dun,
Can we get a
dun,
Baywatch
dun,
mention
dun,
out
dun. Baywatch was, I think, 80s.
Scooby Doo,
Hasselhoff.
the Flintstones.
Scooby-Doo with, yeah. The Jetsons.
Yeah. Hey Arnold.
I like the Jetsons.
Harold's 90s. What are you doing?
I don't know. I'm kind of all over the place.
You're such a
But-
baby. You're so young. And I'm given that Quantum Leap was a good one. That's a good one. T-Win. Murder, She Wrote. My grandma watched Murder, She Wrote, especially like in the 90s when they started syndication. Like that was her. Like now everybody watches Law and Order on repeat.
I was gonna say when did Law and Order start?
Kids Say the
Late
Darndest
80s.
Things. That was a good one.
That was but we don't talk about Bill Cosby
Oh, yeah,
on this
yeah.
show.
Good. You brought it up, not me. So anyway, ring that damn bell, guys. The bell is back. 61, 60, and 7. Just a ludicrous record. But Bearcats win 27-16. And a big time game coming up as Big 12 play starts this Saturday. The Bearcats welcome Houston into town, a familiar foe. Hopefully they can continue the winning ways. But anything else, guys, before we shut this one down?
Family Ties, T-Win, another good one. Alex P. Keaton.
T equals win. You're all over the place.
Perfect Strangers.
Oh, okay.
Perfect Strangers was fire.
Balky.
Balky Bartakamus. Perfect Strangers was fire. We
Oh,
could do I could do this.
Brady Bunch. Brady Bunch. There you go. That's a good one. I liked it. Anyway, everybody loves Raymond. That's a good one. Anyway, so
90s.
you know what? Shouts to Danco Transmission and Auto Care. We love you, Danco Joe. Shouts, of course, to Quick Paper Supply. Shouts to New Riff. Shouts to everyone. But big game this Saturday, 12 noon kickoff. Houston coming to town. Be there early. Get loud. Cheer on the Bearcats. But for my guys, pals, the squad, episode 201 in the bag. But for Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, Ryan Royer, I am Brent Young. Yet again, a fantastic BBP presented by BearcatJournal.com.
See ya.